Tribals, Dikus and the vision of a golden age. This is the chapter what we are going to deal about the tribal communities. But before going into the details of the lesson, let us see the introduction of the lesson. We are now going to discuss about a person called Birsa. He was in the year 1895 found roaming in the forests of Chota Nagpur Plateau region in Bihar. This man was found roaming in the forest. Wandering in the forest would be appropriate for this man. As he was wandering in the forest, people started to see that he is a man sent by the God to save them. He had some miraculous powers. He healed all the diseases of the people. So later they started to worship this person. So how did these people start to worship this person? What are the problems that he has solved? How did he solve all the problems? He was belonging to the tribal communities of Mundas and his followers are Santals and Orovans. This man is considered as God for certain communities or certain tribal groups. Now, how did these people find him as a solution for him? And in this chapter we find tribals, then we have Dikus. Who are these Dikus? The outsiders. They considered Birsa as a protector from the Dikus. The outsiders are ruining the forest communities. So how did he protect them? One major thing what we all can understand in terms of economy is that their livelihoods are in danger. There is no possibility for them to have any livelihood because many forest laws were implemented. Other than this, the tribal groups are not like the Brahmanas who have clear-cut divisions and parameters for giving the lower caste, upper caste regions. This doesn't mean that there are no social and economical differences or differences between the people also are in existence in the same tribal communities. So how did Birsa become the god of the tribals? What are the problems that he has solved? How did he solve these problems? Why did people are so much interested about this person calling him as God? Why did he term that status of being a godly man? We will try to find answers for some of these questions in this chapter. Tribal's life. How was a tribal community life during that period? They used to cultivate Zum cultivation. What is Zum cultivation? Zum cultivation is also known as shifting cultivation. They shift from one region to another region. How do they shift from one region to another region? They shift from one region to another region after doing their cultivation. First, they used to clear a patch of land and then they do the cultivation there. After doing cultivation for a certain period of time, they do the harvesting, they do the plowing, sowing. The instruments what they used were axe and hoe, what they used for the cultivation, for sowing the soil, tilling the soil and all these things. Once the cultivation is done, then they now decide to leave that place. So once the harvesting is done, they burn the place and they go to the new place. So this burning and leaving the land fallow, empty for a certain period of time gives a time for the land to acquire back its fertility levels of the soil. At the same time, the forest people, tribals used to move from one region to another region so that they can move across the entire forest. Mainly, this type of shifting cultivation is practiced in the hilly regions of north and northeastern regions of our country. So here, jumming cultivation means taking a small piece of land. Jumming cultivation, where a small piece of land is taken, cleared by the tribal communities using the axes and hoes. Once they clear this land, they burn off it and in the ash they sow the seeds. Once the sowing of the seeds is done, when the rains occur, the seeds will germinate and the crop start to get into access. Then the cultivation process is done. Finally, for 2 or 3 years, they do continuously agriculture here. Once they fix that, yes, now it is a time for us to move from this region to another region, they clear this land, do the harvesting, leave the land empty and go to the other patch of land. Like this, the tribal people used to move from one region to another region. This also protects the soil fertility because they are giving a gap to regain back the fertility of the soil for some years. At the same time, they also use the new patch of land. Like this, they start to move across the entire forest. Like this, the tribal people used to do the cultivation, and they used to practice shifting cultivation. Some were hunters and gatherers. Some of the tribal communities used to do the jumping cultivation, while the other group of people used to do the hunting and gathering of the products. So let us look into the details. Forests are essential for the tribal communities to do any activity, as the forests are most essential for them because they completely depend on the forest only. They were born in the forest, they were grown up looking at the various products of the forest. They used to climb the trees, they used to collect the fruits, they used to collect the rubber, they used to collect the timber, firewood, charcoal, everything. Every day-to-day need is being met in the forest itself. So they never found anything other than forest is very important in their lives. That is one of the major reasons why the tribal communities largely depend on the forest. So now, one of the such community was Konds. This Konds tribal group largely depend on the forest, and most of the people used to do hunting. They used to hunt whole along the day, and whatever they used to hunt, they used to divide among their group of people, and they used to do the sharing of the food, and they used to eat fruits and cooked the food with the roots of the trees and collected oil from the sal and mahua for doing their cooking. Like this, they had everything. They had food, they have oils, they have fruits. So they have their livelihood happening here, and they used to do the trading with the outside local markets. Whenever they produce something from the forest, they used to carry the kusum and the palash flowers, and they used to take it to the local market and sell it to the traders there. With this, they used to make huge profit, and using this money, currency what they are having, that they used to exchange either for the good of grains or they used to buy the grains. So the exchange of the goods for grains has been happening. Either the valuable products which is being produced in the forest will be taken outside and given to them, or they used to do some odd jobs like part-time jobs, like working in the local areas, and from that they used to collect money and buy the grains and bring it back to the forest people, because they have fruits, they have everything. Only the food grains are not produced in the forest, so they need to get the food grains from outside. And we have a tribal community called Baiga. Baiga people are never ready to work as a labor, because they feel that when we work under anybody, our dignity will come down. They largely depend on the forest. Even in the forest, if they don't have any job also, they never try to work in any odd jobs or any other situations, because they consider that their self-respect will go down. And the other major link between the tribal communities and the local markets is the money lenders. Whenever these tribal communities require money, these people used to take loans from the money lenders for a very high rate of interest, and when they sell their product outside for the traders, they get some income which they used to give back to the money lender. So their problems are taking loan and paying back the loan. So they used to consider their problematic people who are creating problems for the tribal community lives are money lenders and traders. So for them, the outsiders are money lenders and traders. So some of the tribal community people used to do hunting. They used to hunt for the whole along the day, and then they used to bring it and share whatever they have brought, while the others are doing gathering. They used to gather the valuable products what are available in the forest at that point of time. For example, we have kusum, palash. These two are the flowers which are used for coloring the clothes. Whenever the traders need their clothes to be colored, they used to approach to these tribal communities to get them kusum and palash. They also used to sell sal and mahua, from which the oil can be extracted. So all these valuable products of the forest are being taken out of the forest by these tribal community people, and they used to sell it in the local markets. As the time passed on, they started to expand their activity by working certain odd jobs, exchanging their valuable products for grains. Sometimes when they don't have money, they used to take money from the money lenders for very high rate of interest, and they used to do the trading. Once they get the money back, they used to return that money back to the money lenders. We have another tribal group also named as Baiga tribal community. These people never liked or wished to work under anybody because they felt the self-dignity of the Baiga tribal community people will be under trouble if they work under anyone. Like this, the tribal community's life was going on.